This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where techniques mind, we ponder, we dream.
Thank you so much for joining us here on thinkfuture. It's great to finally meet you because it's how we meet each other nowadays, over Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about? And I know you're passionate about a lot of things, so this may be a long episode.
Yes, it will. So my name's Taylin. I used to be a musician, but I hated being a broke musician. Even though
Okay,
I
you
loved
look like a
writing.
musician. You got that
Do I?
musician vibe to you. Is that something like you're born with? Like a musician vibe? Is that it?
I don't know if I'd say musician vibe, but artist maybe.
Yeah,
That's an identity
definitely
I've been
got the artist
stepping
vibe.
into more, is
Yep.
being, creativity, artistry. The music was just one outlet for that, but being broke, I didn't enjoy. But then I became a college teacher and I was a little bit less broke, loved teaching.
Nice.
Helped me solidify a lot of knowledge, but I again just wanted to make more money. Like I think at some point I could just selfishly admit that it's like,
You were
look,
tired of being a starving artist, right?
I
Because
was,
most artists
yes.
are starving.
Yes, I've been the artist who is like, you know what, if as long as I'm just writing music all the time, I'm happy. It doesn't matter how much money I make. And then I
Yep.
lived it and I'm like, it does matter how much money I make. Not to the extent of like selling out or anything, but I wanted to at least have a decent living, right?
I love it. I love how brutally honest you are because there's so many people who just, I do it for the love of the art and stuff like that. It's like, really? Is this the existence you want to have? Come on, be real.
You know, we, yeah, I think there's a lot of stories of, famous musicians who lived out of their van for years and they were just playing gigs because they loved the music. And we're inspired by those stories. Like, look at how those people didn't give up. But when I lived something like that, it was very difficult. And I didn't enjoy being that broke. I didn't enjoy that I couldn't visit my family on the holidays because I'm like, I don't have money for gas. My car tire was getting like really weird and it was wobbly and I couldn't afford to fix it.
Jeez.
Like I just didn't have any extra money. And I eventually was like, hey, I really want to do art, but I felt so much pain. I want to learn how to promote art, how to monetize art. And that eventually led me into education and monetizing, basically info products, selling courses and things like that around writing and creativity. And now I'm in this place where I'm going back to art and I feel a bit of an imposter because I'm like, okay, well, I've made money in like the business side of things now, but I haven't actually monetized art yet. But now I want to see if I can do it. I've learned all these skills. I have some more business sense. Could I go back over this way and make it work and then show other artists, hey, there's this new modern way of doing things. We have social media, different ways to monetize. You could do micro SaaS, service-based courses, etc. We can dive into that stuff, but I'm excited to like bring that side of things to the creative realm. I feel like creativity is just a little too wishy-washy sometimes. I want to bring some more business sense and show people another path.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really bugs me about it is that creativity generates stuff that actually uplifts the human body, uplifts the human soul. And we pay nothing for that kind of uplifting, or people expect to pay nothing for it. But then when it comes to, filling out an Excel spreadsheet, like a really horrible, burdensome task, sure, I'll give you $100,000 to do that. But, to create a piece of art or a piece of music that is uplifting to millions of people, I don't know, I'll give you a few cents for that. It's ridiculous. It's like an upside down business model in that space.
Yeah, it's tricky. And the first thing that came to mind when you said that is I read this post from, I think, Joel Yulee a little while ago. And it was, people say that art doesn't have a whole lot of value, but at funerals, they read passages of art. When people are grieving, they listen to like music in the form, like art in the form of music and just things of that nature. And it showed like there's this whole emotional component to art that is very moving for people. And maybe the capitalist structure doesn't quite view it the same way as like an artist would, but there is like so much power and so much meaning and so much value in really good art that actually speaks to something truly human. And I think it's really sad that a lot of people are just like, oh, I just want to create art and I don't want to promote it. I think I shouldn't have to try to like sell my art. I wish people, read my book or bought my painting, but I also don't want to learn how to promote my art. And I hope that I can be persuasive enough that more artists and creatives will say, how do I merge these things? And how do I learn to get the word out there around my creations?
So there's still a lot of people who love to do it for the pure work of it, and they don't want to promote their stuff. They just figure that the work will speak for itself, and once it gets out there, then people will just buy it and love it and buy it.
I've noticed that there are people like that, but then those same people will complain that no one bought their art. So I think I think they want the outcome, but they don't want the process. And I come from this. Like, I do feel for these people because I loved writing music, but I didn't really enjoy marketing music. I was like, I'm not a marketer. I don't really want to do that. And I really stayed away from all that. Like, business is gross. Like, I'm not a founder. I'm not a business person. There's like identity friction there.
Yeah.
I'm not a marketer. I'm not a sales guy. And then when I got into business, I accidentally became a marketer. So I'm an artist who became a marketer by accident because I was looking for ways to make money online, and ghostwriting social media content was one of those things. And then when I was learning to ghostwrite on social media, I realized that I was learning marketing, but I didn't know until I thought I was learning writing at first. I'm like, I'm just becoming a writer. No, I wasn't.
It's a specific kind of writing, right? It's a specific type of writing, right?
Yes, exactly. It was content marketing is what I was learning. And it took a long time. I was still kind of like, no, I'm not learning marketing, and I'm not. But over like years and years of writing for other people, seeing how we can make money with products and services, like helping other people make money and learning how marketing works, I slowly came to realize like, oh, this is what was missing all this time. Like, no wonder I struggled so much to earn from my music. I had no idea how to get people to even check it out.
Right.
I didn't know how to promote it. But now that I've learned content marketing, I feel like if I did become a musician again, I would come at it from a completely different perspective, thinking, here's all these creative ways to market it. I know how to write headlines. I know how algorithms work. I know how to do the networking. Where before I just ignored all that stuff and said, nah, like I'm not a marketer. But I think there's something really beautiful about an artist that is like, I'm really good at self-promotion and I'm good at creation because I value the art and I value it getting to as many people as possible.
Yeah, and there are artists who are like that out there. The ones that are successful. There's ones who do a great job at the music or at the art as well as at the promotion. I mean, and those are the guys who are super popular, right? They're able to get themselves out there. So there is a way to do both without sacrificing the art.
100%. This reminds me of one of my hot takes I just tweeted out, or but a Substack note, but I still call them tweets because I come from the Twitter world. I said one of my hottest takes is that first-time authors should actually start YouTube channels instead, because if you're writing a book, like you're going to spend so long, like maybe a year writing this thing. Who's really giving you feedback on it? Do you have a network of people who can give you like actual good feedback so you can learn quickly and tighten that feedback loop?
Yep.
Or you go on YouTube, you tell a story or even regurgitate somebody else's story, and you have a retention graph. You can see how many people like watched that video, how many people clicked into it, where in terms of like the second or the minute they clicked off. I'm like, that would be so valuable to learn storytelling. So just go on YouTube, figure out how do I get people to click, and now how do I get people to watch most of the video? And you can see where people fell off and say, oh, like what did I do in the story at this point in time? Like you do that for like 1 year and then you go write a book. I would almost guarantee that you'll like create a significantly better book.
Wow. So there's actually two things there that I think are really interesting, because you've got some artists who are like, well, that's going to sully my vision because I have a vision and I don't really care what the audience thinks of my vision. And then on the other hand, you're actually describing sort of like the audience first lean startup outlook, where it's like, forget about building a product, build an audience first, and then ask the audience, what do you want me to build? Right? So it's a little bit of that.
Yes, like both. I think both approaches work. So I see my internal contradictions like flying off the rails here. But like I think if you're an artist who has like a grand vision, the skill that needs to be learned is creating demand.
Right.
So I think of it as two different things: capture and create. Capture demand is like Stephen King puts something out there. There is like an element of the market that's like, I'm ready to buy a Stephen King book.
Yeah, I don't care what it is. I'm getting this. I'm getting it is the moment it comes out. Right.
Exactly. They're ready to buy it. Another like more broad example would be, a horror book. If you put a horror book out there, there's an element of people that say, I'll just buy whatever's new in horror. I just want to read it on like Kindle Plus or whatever it's called. But then there's like new authors where they're like, I have this grand vision. It's kind of new. I would think, well, how do you learn to create demand? Because there's no one waiting to buy this thing. So how do
Right.
you get people interested in that? And that is the route where I think people should try telling stories on YouTube and learn the skills of getting attention. Like if you can't get attention for other things that are validated and that people want, I have a hard time believing you're going to be able to get people interested in your grand vision. So why don't we go learn that skill first? And we don't look at it as a side quest. This isn't like, oh, I'm stepping away from my vision. This is, in order for me to get this vision made and to the right people, I first have to learn this skill. And this is the way that I can practice this skill and moves me closer to my vision. It's about seeing it as like actually getting you closer to it, not further away.
Right. But do you think the artist would be concerned about perturbing their original vision by bringing in sort of audience feedback too early in the process?
Yeah, that's where I think when it comes to the vision, or maybe to get it a bit more specific, like if I was going to do this, I wouldn't share my grand vision as like I'm building the YouTube channel. I would be like,
Right.
hey, what are other like stories I could share? Maybe they're some of my favorite stories. Could I retell them in a way that's really interesting? Could I maybe take inspiration from it and tell a short story and get attention with that? And I would test like offshoots that are allowing me to develop skills that will allow me to actualize that vision. But that vision would be like, I wouldn't be quite working on it yet, or I'd be working on it in my spare time. Because I think the other skills to actualize it are going to be more important. And some people might say, well, I don't want to wait. But like, I just think of it as the same way. If you want to be a painter and you're like, I have this grand vision of a painting in my head. And I'm like, great, do you know how to paint? And you're like, no. then it's like, okay, well,
nowadays
first we
you
have
don't need to know how to paint. You just sit down at ChatGPT and it'll paint it for you.
Now AI will paint it. Yes. So I'm just saying, like, there are just skills that you should learn first in actualizing that vision. And I think learning to create demand for something is a fantastic skill that almost anyone would benefit from learning. And we can go into like the tactical side of that if you like, or go somewhere else, whatever.
No, I
works.
mean, that's huge, because that's, if you ask me, that's the toughest part of anything. I mean, I've been saying on Substack myself, it's kind of like business used to be 90% creation, 10% marketing. Now it's the other way around. It's 10% creation, 90% marketing. So
Yeah.
the thing is that we used to be in a place where it was relatively easy. You built your thing and then you promoted your thing, and then your thing got out there. Now it's like you built your thing and now you have to spend 10 times as much time and money promoting your thing. So getting the thing out there and seen in this supremely noisy environment is almost impossible. So, I mean, that's the trick, if you ask me, is that how do you get your stuff seen? Creating it is probably the easy part for any creative person. Creating it and getting it out the door is probably the easiest part. How do you get it seen is the toughest part, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, it's very hard, especially for things with like art. Again, that people aren't really looking for. Like when you're at least building a product as a business owner, you're thinking, oh, there seems to be demand here. Can we build this thing to capture that demand? And then it's just, how do we communicate to those people?
Exactly.
If you're trying to become like an author or something, it's, okay, nobody's looking for my thing. How do I get people interested to buy this?
Nobody cares about your thing at all.
Yes, nobody cares.
I'm so proud of it. I want to put it out there, and I think it's wonderful. And people think that, oh, as soon as I put it out there, somebody will see it and it'll resonate with them, and boom, I'll become a success. And that does not happen. Not anymore.
No, it's very rare. Like, I think that can happen if you were in the top like 0.0001% of creating something that is like so good that it markets itself.
Yes.
But it's so rare. Like I would say that most people aren't creating things that good.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's right.
So the way that I think about creating demand is, what is something familiar that I can create a piece of content around? And then how do I bridge that to something unfamiliar? So common familiar things are, people are interested in skills, other people's art that is like really famous, could be opportunities, books, pain points, or dream outcomes or goals. So that's how I think about them, because I do come from like the info product space. So an example, if I was trying to sell like a fiction book around this idea of, I don't know, maybe stoicism. This is an example. It's like, okay, well, if people are interested in stoicism, create content around stoicism, and then like halfway through the post or a little ways in, be like, oh, this book explains this like so much more, and then sell the book as the solution to somebody who wants to like learn more about stoicism or act it out, or is looking for an entertaining way to consume that, and then you can explain the benefits. But it always starts with something familiar. I call it an entry point. You need an entry point that's familiar, and then you have to bridge to something unfamiliar, and that's how you would market your art.
Right. So you're leveraging something that's already out there. It reminded me of sort of movie making in IP, right? So they used to create things just out of the blue and throw them out there. And then some intelligent person realized that, wait a minute, why don't we just adapt books? Books already have an audience. So you take this book, it has an audience, adapt it into a movie. You basically got a portion of that audience who's already ready to go see the book. So you've connected on a pre-existing audience to a new product. And it sounds like you're saying something similar to that, where I'm connecting my new product to something pre-existing that's familiar, and then I'm just leading people to my new product based on that connection.
100%. That is exactly what I'm saying. And I love what you said there about books being like an MVP for movies, because I see it the same way. Like if I wanted to produce a movie or a show or something, like it needs a script. So you might as well just write it as a book, basically. Or if you're into anime, a manga, like a comic strip. And then just what is like the least amount of skills and effort I can do to like prove the concept. That's like a business concept that I think applies to art, like very much so. Yeah, so I love the analogy.
So get your MVP out the door.
Yes.
And it could be like a short story, right? Or something like that. Or like you said, it could like start a Substack and start peppering it with your tales. Like don't put your novel up there, but pepper it with tales from your world or whatever, and then judge the demand from that. But then all of these things need promotion, though. I mean, I can't just start a YouTube channel tomorrow and expect to have people watching it. I mean, how do you still have to get that off the ground? So even though in the end, I'm looking at a book or some creative effort that I'm eventually going to put out, how do you get the first part off the ground? Like, how do you get the testing stuff off the ground as well?
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic question. You know, some people say that as well to my Substack note. They're just like, oh yeah, good luck getting seen in the YouTube algorithm.
Exactly.
And my honest thought is these people don't understand how YouTube actually works. So I have some friends who are quite successful on YouTube, like they do extremely well. And they have confirmed, they're like, even if you are a new channel, as long as you nail the discoverability and the retention on the video, YouTube will show it to a crap ton of people. It's just YouTube wants to show it to a small amount of people based on like the keywords and the stuff you're using. And then how many of those people actually click? And then out of the people that click, what's most important is how long do those people watch? So the longer the retention, the more YouTube is going to organically show it to people. And that's why in recent years, you've seen more and more YouTube creators who literally have 1 or 2 videos, and each of them have 1 million views and they have like 300,000 subscribers. There's like a new channel where their first video popped off because they understood, okay, if we just make this really good and we actually make it something that people will watch most of the way through, YouTube is going to show it to more people. And that's why I think this is a fantastic way to learn how to capture demand. Is like, if you had to sit down and be like, hey, I really want to tell this story, but you know, let's go look on YouTube. What are other people doing around storytelling? What are other kind of like titles and thumbnails that are similar to this that might work? Okay, now when people are actually watching this video, what techniques do I have to do to keep people watching through a whole 10-minute video? Could I get someone to watch a 10-minute video without getting bored? Like that's learning storytelling in real time.
Good luck.
It's tough. It can be difficult, yeah. And I think it's a viable skill to learn. Like it's just funny to me because people will be like, well, I don't really want to go and I don't really want to learn that, but I just want to write a book. It's like, how do you expect me to read your book if you can't even get me to watch a 10-minute video?
Right.
Like prove the concept. And I know they're not like one-to-one. They're slightly different mediums and whatnot.
Sure.
But I think the skills of learning to write on YouTube and script YouTube videos is one of the most versatile, transferable writing skills in terms of marketing out there. And I think more people should learn it.
So if I was a creative and wanted to do this, it sounds like there is a formula that I can follow that will allow me to have sort of a supremely popular video on YouTube. What would I have to do? I mean, is there a formula? Like, do you sell this thing? I mean, how does it work?
Look, you're talking to a guy that like, I got this data from my friend, so I have to call that out. Like someone could go and look at my YouTube channel, be like, you haven't produced a good video. And it's like, yeah, fair enough. Like call me out on that. YouTube is my 2026 thing. That's why like I'm looking into it and talking to my friends about it. From what I've heard from my friends, it is about looking at, okay, what is other titles and thumbnails that are working in the same kind of video topic that I want to do. And you want to emulate those and do something quite similar. So you show up in their recommended and YouTube knows, I want to show this video to these people. So now you've cracked the discovery piece, if you can get that right. Now you have to crack the retention piece. Retention in YouTube script writing is kind of similar to if you're writing. Like good writing is just about tension. So it's about question and answer, problem and solution, pain and pain relief. So when you're doing something like a YouTube video, it would be, how do you open a big question in the reader's mind or the viewer's mind right away that they feel they have to watch to get the answer to it? And then how do you delay that answer while layering in other question and answers throughout? So what it might look like is, let's say I was learning YouTube script writing. It's just like, can you learn YouTube script writing in 7 days? I set out to figure this out and figure out if I could do it firsthand. It's like, but this turned out to be a lot harder than I initially thought. So over the next 7 days, we'll see how much better my videos could get from posting one video every single day. And honestly, the results I found out at the end really shocked me. So let's dive into day one. So now there's like a big question, like, okay, what kind of views and results did this guy get in 7 days? But then it's like, okay, day one. So now there's a new question. What happened in day one? And it's like, I can walk them through that. It's like, is there a problem? Like, take them to solution. So it's like layering questions and answers.
I love it.
The same way that you would write anything, but it just allows, instead of like writing something, okay, here, I'll connect this to more like Substack and writing and stuff. One thing I don't like about Substack right now is I could do this whole thing and I could publish a newsletter. I have no idea where somebody stopped reading it. I don't have a very good feedback.
There's no way to know. Yeah.
No, what do I know? I have to like ask my friends to read it and then hope that they would give me honest feedback, which would really inconvenience them to do it all the time. You know what I mean? So if I go on YouTube and I instead did it, at least I would be able to see where most people are like not watching anymore. That is the best form of retention that I would have, even if I just translated a newsletter to YouTube just to get the piece of retention, to get a feedback loop, to know where I can improve my writing.
I love that. That's super cool. So you can use YouTube as your MVP.
Yes.
For your writing, for anything really, anything that you want to create.
Exactly. There is other things to factor into. Like with writing, at least you just have to write. With YouTube, can you speak it in a way that's engaging? Even with a visual element, do you want to be like looking at the screen or do you want to have like a visual up the whole time? There are other things to consider. It's not like one-to-one translated, but I would still argue that it's the best way to get good at retention-based writing.
Yeah. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about niching though. So we were talking offline about, what is it? Would you call it polypassionate or multi-passionate or polymathy or whatever?
Yeah,
and this is the stuff we both agreed. We like most creative people are like this. They have a million things that they want to do. They're not focused on one specific thing. There's a million things that they want to do. And in this YouTube video, in the content that you're creating, do you find that you need to niche or can you actually do it without niching?
Yeah, okay, the niching advice is a tough one. There's so much conflicting
That's a big
advice.
one. Everywhere you go, they say the same thing. Niche down, niche down, niche down. And I think we talked about this before. Like, my opinion on this is that it has something to do with human beings and algorithms. It's like the algorithms and the human beings are very similar. They're looking for, we are complex beings, but we like other people to explain themselves to us in a simple way. So we end up niching ourselves down to this little slice that we describe to other people. And I think the algorithms try to mimic that sort of thing. In that YouTube thing you were talking about before, YouTube tries to figure out who to show you to. And if YouTube can't figure out what you're trying to do, then it has a tough time knowing who to show it to, right?
Yes. I agree. So this is the model that I use for this. I think a niche is a group of people. An offer is a transformation that you provide to that group of people, and a brand is the associations that those people have with you. And I think this is really important because when people say to pick a niche, I used to get really confused by this. I'm like, well, should I niche into ghostwriting? And there's a lot of people that would say ghostwriting is a niche. I would argue that it's not because it makes it really hard for me to think through like, So I'm talking to ghostwriters, to not people not ghostwriting. Like,
But even
who am I
ghostwriting is not
talking
even
to?
is too wide. It's too broad to be a niche, right? In and of
Right.
itself.
Yeah, it's a little bit broad in some respects. So to me, like the way that it made sense was, okay, a niche is a group of people. So what group of people do I want to talk to? And then those people need a reason to follow me. So I don't think you can talk about niching without talking about an offer. And an offer is just a transformation. I'm not saying you have to have some kind of product or service, but these people should understand like what they're following you for.
Right.
So I think those things cannot be completely disconnected. So then I thought, okay, well then I think you just need to niche into an outcome. Some people call it a mission, but that's the way that makes the most sense to me is if somebody knows the outcome that they are going to get from following me, and I know who that person is that I can get the outcome for, then I have a niche. And I don't think this squanders being multi-passionate because, for example, this would be a very broad niche, like people who want to make money. That's super broad. But it's, you know what I mean? It's super,
is that
super
a
broad.
niche? I wouldn't even
Very,
call that
very
a
broad.
niche. It's
That's
like everybody wants to
way
make
too
money.
broad. Well, exactly. That's like where you get into demand capture versus demand gen. It's like, how do I get people to make money my way? So then it's
Right.
like, we go down a little bit more. Okay, well, people who are interested in writing who want to make money online. And now you get into like ghostwriting as an outcome, right?
Right.
That's at least what's helped me figure out the niching side of things. Like, what outcome can I help people with? And eventually, through like 4 years of experimenting, changing my niche like 50 times,
Right.
I was finally like,
You're
okay,
pivoting. You're pivoting.
I've pivoted
It's a good
lot,
thing.
yeah.
They're all a
Yeah,
good thing.
exactly. It evolves. Like, it's not something that you just sit down, you're like, this is my niche, and then you never change it again.
Yeah.
Like, you have to
But some
experiment,
people
right?
do that. It's kind of like the old, that old image of a gold miner, chipping away at the rock in his mine, and right on the
Yeah.
other side is some gold. It's like, oh, don't stop until you get to it. You stop just before you get to it. It's like, well, what if there's nothing back there? You have to be you have to be open to opportunities that show up on the way, so you can pivot in
Right.
other directions, right?
Yes. Well, that's exactly it. I totally agree with that. And I actually love that. I think about that visual all the time. It's
I know,
really
but it
good.
drives me crazy that people
Yeah.
put that visual up there and to try and get you to say, don't stop. It's like, no, don't stop is just too simplistic
It is.
a
Yeah.
thing to say. You have to be open to new opportunities. Sorry, I went off on a
Yes.
tangent there.
No worries. No, I was going to say that I think of that picture all the time, sometimes in a good way when I'm like, I think I'm just about to strike the gold, and sometimes in a bad way where I'm like, I want to give up on this and it feels like I should, but what if I'm almost at the gold?
Yeah. I know, we have those questions every day. It's like, oh my God, is it happening? Is it not happening? I didn't get any subscribers today. Oh no, I have to pivot.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's
So
true.
how
It's
do you?
true.
But how do you actually instantiate that? So let's say you're polymathic. You want to do a lot of different things. Do you just have to just pick one and go, here's my niche, here's my people, here's my outcome, and then just drive into that, and then like forget about the rest of the stuff? Or I mean, for some people that's going to be that's hard, right?
The process will be a little longer if you're multi-passionate because you have to go through an exploration phase. So you have to figure out, okay, I'm interested in this and this and this and this and this, and what is persisting across it? What
Right.
are things that you keep studying over and over again, or you keep thinking about? And you want to find those things, and eventually you'll become multi-passionate. So it's like you move from multi-interest to multi-passionate through exploration, and this is where it gets easier to unify towards an outcome. Like even the most famous polymath that ever existed is Leonardo da Vinci, and I would argue that his outcome was I want to invent things and I want to create art. So he had an outcome that he was working towards. And then there was people who wanted those things, like the inventions and the art. And I think about it the same way as once you've explored enough, you'll start to realize what is the outcome and the unifying thing, the thing that persists, that all of these passions and all these interests lead me towards. So for example, I'm really interested in creating visual media. Even though I've been a writer primarily, I'm actually really interested in creating YouTube videos and maybe one day creating my own TV show. That's what I wanted to do since I was a kid. But it took me like 30 years to figure this out because I was like, okay, well, I also really want to make money. So I was like, okay, I'm going to I feel the pain around that. I'm going to go learn business and I'm going to try these different things. And I got into ghostwriting, and ghostwriting brought me to writing. And I was like, well, now I'm really interested in writing, but I feel like my creativity's kind of zapped out of it. So now I want to bring some creativity back into it. So then I was trying to find ways to unify all of these. And as I went through, it was a very messy process.
Right.
And over time, I was like, oh, this is all bringing me back to that one thing that persists, which is that I just want to create visual media. But now, before I didn't do it because I didn't think it was going to be able to make me any money. I'm like, what's the point?
Right. Right.
But now I'm like, oh, I know how to write, so I can write the scripts, and my thinking's a lot more clear. I know how to market, so I think I could do YouTube and I could get people to actually watch these videos. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm interested in all these different things. How do I unify those things into one video? And I think about it, this is getting a little more tactical now, is like, okay, what's a familiar thing that people want to learn about? And like, there has to be that one thing that I'm talking about at that point in time. So it could even be, maybe you're high anxiety. Right. It's like right now with all this stuff happening in AI, you're really high anxiety. It's like, okay, now when I'm weaving all my interests together, I can use writing and video production to produce a product that helps people solve that problem. So those are my primary skills used for production and promotion, like for marketing and producing it. But then all my other things that I've studied, like I've studied Eastern philosophy. I've done like quite a bit of psychedelic assisted therapy. I'm also interested in like mental health. So I've studied that to solve my own mental health problems, a little bit on psychology as well. And then there's also like a little bit of the business sense and maybe a bit on human potential. So then when I'm writing that piece, I'm like, okay, how do I kind of like weave all the relevant pieces into here? And I call those secondary passions or secondary interests. I'm not really leading with, oh, hey, follow me for the newest insights on Eastern philosophy. Like I'm not an Eastern philosophy account. I don't help people with that outcome. But whenever I talk about the other outcomes, I think, oh, I'm really interested in that thing. How do I maybe weave a principle or a story or something from that into the thing that I'm producing? And I think that's where you get the really interesting combinations, is you just have to sort in your mind, what are the primary ones used to like produce work and actually get something out there, like get a creation out there. Those are usually like writing, video production, coding, because it could be, a newsletter, YouTube video, it could even be a product like a SaaS or something like that. But then what are like the other things you're passionate about that you're like, how do these connect and layer into that thing that I'm creating to help position it and make it really interesting and spreadable and unique? And that's where you get really interesting stuff.
Wow. Sounds like a course.
Well, it's something that I've been like thinking through in the form of kind of like maybe making it into a course called the Multi-Passionate Writer.
Nice.
And that's mainly because I struggled with this problem for so long. Like of all of the problems I've experienced as an adult, this one and not knowing how to make money as an artist are the two that I've like felt the most pain from.
Yeah.
Because I was that guy who was originally on Twitter writing about ghostwriting. And I was like, I kind of want to write about all this other stuff, all these other passions. And all my mentors were like, well, no, you're right about ghostwriting. Like just write about ghostwriting.
Don't do that. Stay in your lane.
I'm like, oh, like it feels wrong to me. Like I feels like I can't not do it. But then I tried weaving it all in, and my mentors were basically like, look what you did. You ruined your brand. It's unfocused. No one knows why they're following you. It's like your engagement's
but by that time
like,
you had an audience, so it was okay to do that, right? Because that's my other presupposition, is that once you've built an audience to a certain size in your niche, then you can expand out of your niche and do other things, right? And so it didn't really knock you down. It just made you. It actually broadened your audience a bit.
I would say I have not found that to be the case one for one. I have found that like people tend to follow you for a certain reason,
right?
And if you wanted to be able to like slowly broaden yourself up, it works if you're just like widening the net of the niche a little bit. By niche, I mean you're just widening to broader and more groups of people. So let's say I went from ghostwriting and I'm like, okay, well, I want to talk about something a little bit broader, but still within this sphere. So I'm going to talk about writing, and then that broadens up. It's like, okay, well, now I want to talk to not just writers, but anyone who's interested in maybe getting into writing. And then it broadens it a lot to like creative people.
Adjacent spaces, really. You can't just jump to something completely different.
That's one way to do it. That is probably the safest way. The other way, which I think is harder, but it can be done, is if the people that follow you actually love you as the person and they feel that they are following you, you can essentially continue to do whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
But they have to be, you have to have that connection. And okay, I got a little tactical here. The only people that this really happens for are people that have a lot of long form video content or long form content. You need so much time under attention and connection within that people, like, you basically live so rent free in somebody's head that you can do very little wrong.
Right.
That they're like,
I
for
see what
me,
you're
that
saying.
would be Naval
They
Ravikant.
become a personality. They become the niche themselves.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. Like, that's kind of like Dan Koh's idea of you are the niche. Like, that only works, I would say, if you are like James Clear and you produce something like Atomic Habits that is
Yes.
so effing good that it just takes that one book, like, you read it once and he's rent free in your head for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's so good. Or you have to go like maybe the other route where you do so much long form video content that is so goddamn good and people consume so much of it in a short period of time, and that you just like live rent free in their head, and they're like, yeah,
Like Joe
whatever you
Rogan.
do, I'm just gonna. Joe Rogan is an example. Yes, that's a really good one. I didn't think of him, but yes, those are the two strategies that I've found. There's a third way though that is less extreme than both of these paths, and it's that. This is why I say that your niche is an outcome, because if you can find ways to talk about the adjacent things but make it relevant to the audience, you can talk about multiple things. So when I talk about, I'll tell you an example. Okay, so I did a piece recently on, I'm not disciplined, but I made a lazy 20K last month. And that was me actually wanting to write about being neurodivergent, but I wanted to make it relevant to like people who follow me more for like business.
Right.
So it was really about how there's two different types of people, and if you're more creative, you might live or work better with a different lifestyle than the other one, than like people who are more like disciplined bros, you know?
Right.
But I used the headline about business, and I related that topic to business instead of all of a sudden being like, if you're ADHD, here's how like what lifestyle would work for you. Like,
Right.
I just felt like my audience doesn't follow me for that reason. I'm not a mental health account. So I use like my business kind of as the entry point, and then I got into how like these mental health concepts have allowed me to build a lifestyle around my business, not the other way around. So it's the things that you're learning. It's like, how can you naturally weave them in to help people get to the outcomes that you're known for helping them for? And I think if you can do that effectively, you can talk about most things.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about monetizing creativity, right? Because we haven't had a good way of doing it. Do you think we're going to actually see some platforms or Substack or something similar to that is actually going to be able to build a platform that actually can monetize creativity to a good extent, like not pennies here and there? I mean, I see people going, "Oh, I just made $13 last month on Medium." It's like, okay, big deal. I mean, I don't want you to make pennies. I want you to make actual real money.
Yeah. $13, quit your job now.
Yeah,
Just
that's right.
Go all
That's
in.
right. My side hustle. I'm all in now. Oh man.
Okay, I like this question, and my answer might not be what you expect, but well, first I would define what is creativity. Creativity to me is basically evolution. It's just it's innovation and evolution. Like, even I have this theory that creativity evolved because nature realized that evolving through genetics alone was too inefficient. So it's basically like,
I like that theory.
yeah, and it is just a theory. I'm not saying I'm an expert here, but it's basically that, like, the way I understand genetics, at least, is that, okay, there was like giraffes that had babies, and then randomly their genetic code is like altered, but it's random. And then whichever giraffes are best adapted to the environment and had longer necks survived, and then they had more babies, but they're a bunch of random. So nature's actually kind of brutal if you look at it from this perspective. Whatever's not most adapted gets killed.
Absolutely.
And instead of it taking like whole generations to do this, I think nature realized if we do abstract reasoning, or we allow like ideas themselves to evolve before actualizing them, we can just evolve faster. So it, even just taking any idea and in your head being like, how would I change this without breaking it? To me, that's effective creativity. It's like, how do I innovate on something without breaking or getting rid of the thing that made it work? Right. If there's a pepperoni pizza and I'm like, hey, Chris, can you please make me a pepperoni pizza? And you give me something with ham and pineapple. I'm like, the fuck?
Exactly.
But, if you gave me a pepperoni pizza that just had bacon on it, I might be like, oh, yeah, this is actually a really cool pepperoni pizza.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't think
not
about
bad.
that.
It's close enough to the
Yeah.
tip of the pepperoni to be okay.
Yeah, it hasn't
Gotcha.
lost its essence. So
Yeah.
that's how I think about creativity. And I actually think that it's never been a better time to monetize creativity if you're
Absolutely.
someone who can do it effectively, because we're kind of in the realm of the internet and business where everyone's kind of just doing the same things and they're not standing out. Everyone's like copying everybody else's words and everyone's regurgitating the same principles. That's in info. With products, like, what's the theory? All cars are starting to look the same. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh yeah,
well, yeah,
remember that poster that showed all the SUVs looking exactly the
yeah,
same? And it's like
yeah,
I'm looking at that and I'm going, is that whose fault is that? It's like it's the customer. The customer wants them to all be like that, right? I mean, it's the demand. The demand would be there. Otherwise, the car companies wouldn't be creating. Of course, there's regulations and other things that make them look similar. But I mean, ultimately, it's the customer who is deciding they all look the same.
yeah. I think that's partially true. I think the other part of it is from a first principles perspective. There's only so many things that work. So
Right.
at some point, it's like, I can't innovate on this anymore without breaking it.
Right.
And that's when you basically reach like the most refined thing. Like the iPhone hasn't really evolved in the past few generations, and
Well, that's because Apple is not an innovation company. They're a
not
consumer
anymore.
electronics company.
Yeah,
There
there's
is no
definitely an
innovation at
argument to be
Apple.
made,
And I
but not
said
anymore.
that like years and years ago when I'm like, this is not innovation.
Yeah.
It's consumer electronics. It's stuff that
Yes.
people want to buy, right? It's not cutting edge. Look at
Yeah.
what happened to the Vision Pro. Anyway,
Yes.
other,
Like I do agree with your sentiment that, like, as someone who used to really love Apple, I wish they'd go back to the culture of innovation. And
yep.
I'll also throw them a bit of a bone where I don't really think you can innovate on the iPhone much further without breaking it.
Right.
It just wouldn't be the
isn't
same
a folding
product.
one coming soon?
Oh
I think they're
God, that
talking
would be
about a
crazy.
folding iPhone.
Oh God, bringing that back. Holy shit. Now we've really lost our minds.
That's right. But so going back to monetization, but I mean, it's like Substack is like one of the tools that's out there that will allow you to sort of monetize. I mean, it's an imperfect tool, and there's other places that you can monetize. But like I said, I mean, I haven't heard other than a very tiny percentage of people are able to monetize at a decent rate, who they can say, "Oh, I'll quit my day job and do this." But the rest of us are like, not enough.
Yeah, so the way I think about this, and I guess this will hinge on kind of the principle I said earlier, that creativity is just doing something a bit different without breaking it.
Right.
So to me, there's only two ways to actually monetize something, and it's either with a product or a service. Like maybe there's another way to do it, but I haven't found it yet. So product would be like a course, a paid newsletter, could even be a micro SaaS or a SaaS tool. It could be e-commerce, so physical products. Like all of those would be in the product bucket. For service-based, it's like I'm going to basically use my skill and time to help someone else create something. So that would be like ghostwriting, copywriting. You could say like sales. There's so many other ones, but off the top of my head,
it's
that's all I
like
can really think of.
one is time, one is based on time. So I have to spend my
Yes.
time coaching you or consulting you, and that's the quickest way to any kind of monetization. And then
Yep.
the digital, like building a digital product or building a physical product, like we all know about physical products. Physical products sell.
Yes.
That's not a problem. It's the getting the digital products to sell is the nut, and that's where
Yes.
the value comes from, right? It's like, how do you say to somebody, remember CDs? Like, oh, I'll give you $13
yeah.
for that CD,
Yeah.
but I'm only going to pay you 99 cents for that CD. All those tracks online. It's like we have
Yeah.
to disconnect. We have to understand that the value is actually in the track, not the CD itself, right?
Yes, I actually agree with you. I never thought about it that way. I don't know. My brain just wanted to go in a totally different direction. Like I'm going to
But go. I want to hear. I want to hear this direction.
Get a little side tangent until we get back to monetizing creativity. There's this theory that all innovation basically goes, what is it? It's like it goes from physical product to converting physical to digital to becoming native digital, and like slowly all things innovate over this cycle. I thought it was a really interesting theory. Like music was first, like just acoustic. It was played on vinyls or whatever. And then, okay, how do we take those and record it and put it into a computer? And now it's just, how do we just make music with a computer?
Right.
And
Exactly.
and you just reminded
Everything
me of
goes
that.
to digital.
Yeah. Everything slowly goes digital.
All creativity, except for maybe sculpture or paintings, eventually does go to digital. So, like,
Yeah.
it seems to lose its value in that transition somehow.
Well, I think anything that technology touches tends to slowly get cheaper over time. And what's the saying? Anything that government touches gets more expensive over time.
That's right.
So I see that, but I'm going to force myself to pull back a little bit now to go back to like monetizing, because I think there's a really important point here that I want to touch on, which is, okay, so product or service are the only two ways to monetize. The problem I see with people on Substack and other platforms is they think that the paid newsletter is the thing they have to make a full-time living from. I would argue that the paid newsletter is just an attraction offer.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just, how do you get somebody to buy, especially if you have like a high ticket service. Like typically the model looks like attraction offer for $5 to like $20-$50 or something. And then when that person buys, then you might have something else for 200 or 300, or you might have a coaching offer or a service-based thing where you charge them like $2,000 up to like 10 grand.
Yeah.
If you have that offer stack, all of a sudden making a full-time living off Substack is a lot easier. I'm not going to say it's like easy, because it depends on the niche. There's a lot of variables there. But that offer stack of just having an attraction offer and then selling more products or services stays the same regardless of the offer. And I just think more people on Substack don't realize that they need the good back-end pieces. Yeah. And I'll even say this from experience, that I launched my paid newsletter late last year as a test to see how much money it would make. I think I did around $1,500 US in the first month with it. But I ended up landing 2 high ticket coaching clients and selling 4 course sales at $500 each. So I made way more money on upselling the people who joined the newsletter than I did from the newsletter itself. I think there's just not many people that are aware of that, I think.
Right. But I think that the golden, like, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is selling a digital product, passive income while you sleep. That's still far, far away from actually occurring. Right.
It's very, very hard. It's the myth of the digital product is that you basically need such a ridiculous amount of traffic to make a full-time income. So you can only live off of digital products if you are really good at marketing. Like that's just my like bar none rule. Otherwise you need service-based or something that's high ticket to make a full-time living. And I haven't seen that. Like the only people I only know out of being in this creator game for 4 years, I probably can only think of like 4 or 5 people that have like only really done digital products. And they're like, I've made so much money, I don't have to really do anything else. Everyone else might have even done well with digital products for like a year, 2 years. And now they're adding high ticket offers back in. And I'm like, yeah, it's because they don't have enough traffic.
Yeah. So that holy grail is not there.
For most people.
It's not there yet. Do you think there'll ever be a system that will allow that sort of thing to happen? Like a musician can actually go in there, create tracks, upload them, and then make enough money to survive without having to have a main job?
I don't know. I want to believe and be optimistic that something like that exists, but the Pareto principle to me just reigns true, that it's always, a small percentage of people that reap most of the rewards. And, Naval, one of my favorite thinkers, what's his thing? You can do whatever you basically can earn. It's this, I'm rewording this, but it's like, you can make a living doing what you want as long as you're the best in the world at it.
Right.
And I think that's true. Even like 4th place will have a significantly harder time than 1st place.
Oh yeah. It's exponential, right? I mean, once you get up there,
it's exponential. Yeah. So I think it's really tough. And for most people that will be, unless they just are really, really good, they're obsessed with marketing and they're willing to play the marketing game, it'll be very hard to live off of course sales
and so it's a very tiny little set of people who will get to that level. So it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year 2036, 10 years from now. How do you think all this game is going to change? Like, where are we going to be in 10 years on this? Are things going to be better for creatives, or are they going to be worse, or where do you think they'll be?
It's so tough because we're in the most like rapid pace of change maybe ever right now. Like 10 years is a long time. It's changed a lot in the 4 years that I've been doing this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's a few predictions I have that I think will come true. I see it as AI is replacing labor right now, and people are very scared of that because it's like AI is going to replace your job. One thing that I think is really cool and empowering for creators is that with the help of AI, you're now able to make a lot more money like by yourself or with a small team than you could before.
Absolutely.
So yes, people are afraid of losing their jobs, and yes, like a lot of jobs are going to be lost. I think there's a lot of opportunity for those people to learn AI and say, how can I solve problems and get paid for it? And then create audiences around that and the problems they're solving and like what they're building. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. As for how it will evolve over 10 years though, I don't know. Like, I've heard some people predict that, once AI video becomes a thing, YouTube and these big companies will be the only ones who can afford to do it at scale, and they'll just have internal teams of the best people in the world who will create all the YouTube content. So most of the things that get viewed on YouTube will just be from
What? There'll be
YouTube's
no
internal team.
user-generated content left on YouTube? No way.
So that's like what the best content will be. So that's where most of the eyes will go.
Wow.
But I think there'll probably be a counterculture. I think new social media platforms are going to emerge. I want to be optimistic and believe that there's always going to be a platform and an opportunity at any point in time, and that we're not just going to be screwed. Like I prefer to be an optimist in that way and think, what skills could I learn to be more adaptable?
Right.
And I'm going to take the stance that regardless of how much the technology advances, as long as you're someone who also learns to use AI and leans into the technology and is looking for how do I do more as like a solo operator, I do want to believe that there will be opportunity for you, even if it's just different than what it is today.
Oh yeah, I think that's absolutely happening. But what do you think of this whole pushback against AI for like creatives? There's creatives who've embraced it, and there's others who have said, "Forget it. I'm not going to touch it. It's never going to happen." And if I read something of yours that's generated AI in any way, shape, or form, it's like you're dead to me.
It's just toxic tribalism, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah, like here's the thing. I thought about it from a writing perspective. Do I think that AI just generating writing is a good thing? No. I think like generative AI in that sense for writing just puts out garbage. Like I've tried it. Hey, write me an article on XYZ. I'm like, AI is a copy machine. It literally looks for patterns and then just replicates those patterns. So you're just going to get something that sounds like everybody else. But the more nuanced take on this is, if you're like a writer or a creative that is looking for, how do I use AI to speed up certain parts in the process that used to be very slow? For me, that's like in doing some of the editing on my writing, just the basic editing before I go in and do a final pass that's a bit cleaner. How do I also use AI to help me with more of the thinking and the decision making as well? So how can I have it push back? Can I have it give me tips on like maybe ways to make this better for my audience? And that's like a way to get AI to slow you down, but improve the process. Like that's really good. As well as how can AI like replace certain aspects of the labor so I can just do more as a solo team? Like before, I used to have to, because I'm looking into YouTube, or actually for even my graphics of my newsletters, like I used to have to be like, oh, like I could use all this time in Canva, but I'm not really much of a graphic designer. So then I would hire a graphic designer, and then I'd have to try to like tell them what I wanted, and then they would mess it up, and then I had to go back and forth, and it cost money and time. Yep. Now I can just use Nano Banana or ChatGPT, and I can go back and forth and be like, oh, that's like the graphic that I want. Perfect. And I can use that. And I think that's actually really great in empowering solo creators. And the people that are upset seem to be on the side of like, well, no, I don't think the labor should be replaced. Like you're just taking away someone's job. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I would just argue that person should use AI and build like their own business instead of being upset that they no longer can charge $50 or $20 for a thumbnail.
Yeah,
like, I think
instead of that, maybe they can charge $10 or less, but they can do 10 times as many, right? With the same tools. Yeah.
Yes. There you go. Yes, exactly. Or on the writing perspective, it's very tribal, and people are just like, you're just ripping off everybody else. You're copying all of our stuff with AI. You're not thinking through stuff for yourself. And I'm like, I don't think you've actually like seriously sat down and thought about how to use this technology. Because if you do like a first draft and have AI kind of help you with the middle, and then you do the final draft and you've done all the thinking and all the primary editing, I don't really think there's an argument to be made that AI just did all the work. I think those people aren't really thinking.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because, and if you think about it, I mean, this is what I always say is that if you think about what AI generated output is, it's there's a computer in there, but you've created this, you've parted the seed, you provided the
Hmm.
seed, and the rest of the content comes from other content that humans have created. You don't know which humans it came from, but the end formula is there's more humanity in output, AI output, than there is computer generated stuff. So you are leveraging sort of like the full set of other stuff that's in the LLM. That's from other human beings.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, like the more humanity one. I got a noodle on that, but that's a very interesting perspective. I definitely, I'm just in the camp that AI is not going anywhere. Like, if you really want to sit down and you're one of those creatives that's like, I'm going to produce 100% no AI, do it. Like, awesome. Hell yeah. Just don't tell everybody else that they're like evil.
Exactly.
Like, chill out.
Yeah. No, I'm totally
Yeah.
with you on that. It's like, yeah, don't tell the other artists what tools to use. Like, do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
Create whatever you want.
And maybe over time, like with all the AI content, there will be an ultra premium for things not created with AI and books written without AI, and maybe that will become a thing. And if it does,
Yeah.
like great, then there's going to be a place for those people. Awesome.
Yeah. I'd love to see
I
that.
don't know
That'd be
what's gonna-
great.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Definitely on Substack right now at Taylin Simmonds. I respond to all my messages, even if it does take me a few days to get there. But but yes, Taylin Simmonds on Substack would be the number one place.
Very cool. So I'll put that link in the show notes so people can go directly to you. So thank you so much. This has been great. Lots of fun.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Thanks, Chris. This is awesome.
Thanks. And we got to do this again because I think there's a lot
Yes.
more there we need to talk about.
I want to believe there is. Otherwise, I really am a one-trick pony.
Yeah. No, no. Definitely not. All right, sir. Thanks so much. Talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.